fun meeting tonight.
All right. It is now 7 p.m. Let's call to order the regularly scheduled City Council meeting. It's January 6th, 2014 at 7 p.m. here at the roll call.
Roll call shows all councilors present.
All right, second item is Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 3 would be special orders of the day and announcements. We have none, so we'll move on to number 4 is public hearings. Item 4A and 4B will have a single presentation, but we'll be holding this public hearing separately. Item 4A.
A proposed ordinance amending the City of Beloit Comprehensive Plan to change the future land use designation of the properties located at 2508, 2554, 2570, and 2600 Milwaukee Road from community commercial to institutional and community service. This is for the School District of Beloit. The Plan Commission recommended approval 5-0.
Madam Christensen.
These two amendments relate to the new intermediate school site on Milwaukee Road. The comprehensive plan amendment includes one more address than the zoning ordinance amendment or zoning map amendment, because there is a house there that we included in the comprehensive plan amendment but didn't include in the zoning request because they still own the property. It's not part of the school site at this point. And so that they could continue to live in that house. If at some point the school purchases it, then they could seek the rezoning at that time. So the comprehensive plan amendment is for 2554, 2570, and 2600 Milwaukee Road, from community commercial to institutional and community services, and then 2508 Milwaukee Road as well, which is the residential property I was speaking of. And then the zoning district map amendment is for 2554, 2570, and 2600 Milwaukee Road from C1 Office District to PLI, Public Lands and Institutions Districts. And these two amendments would be to allow the construction of the new school site on Milwaukee Road.
Thank you. I'd like to open the public hearing on item 4A. All persons wishing to come forward and speak on item 4A, please approach the podium and state your name and address. Second call for persons to come forward and speak on item 4A. Third and final call for persons to come forward and speak on item 4A. Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing on item 4A.
I move that we suspend the rules and move to action on the merits, Mr. President. Second.
Moved by Van de Bogart, second by Lukey. Do we have any questions on suspending the rules? Hearing none, I'll call the matter on suspending the rules. All in favor of suspending the rules, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We've suspended the rules by a vote of 7-0. Do we have a motion on the underlying matter?
Second.
Moved by Kincaid, second by Levy. Do you have any questions on the underlying matter? Oh, Councilor DeForest?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Ms. Christensen. I guess I'm having trouble following. I want to make sure that the homeowners at the 2508 Milwaukee Road are protected. So can you explain again why they're included in this particular, why they're included in the comp plan?
They're included in the comp plan amendment because otherwise we would have a spot that wasn't the institutional
Okay.
uses. And they're currently zoned to allow their house, so they could continue to be zoned what they are. If a rezoning request ever came forward, it would have to be consistent with the institutional uses, so it couldn't be rezoned to residential or some other commercial use.
Okay, got it.
They have been notified. Drew contacted them and talked to them, so they are aware of this action, and we did individually notice them. So if they had an opportunity to come forward, they did not come forward at the Plan Commission meeting.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sure.
Appreciate it.
Okay. Any other questions or comments on item 4A? Hearing none, I'll call the matter. All in favor of approving item 4A, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We passed item 4A by a vote of 7-0. I'd like to open the public hearing now on item 4B. Could you announce that for us? I guess we didn't announce 4B.
A proposed ordinance amending the City of Beloit zoning district map to change the zoning district classification of the properties located at 2554, 2570, and 2600 Milwaukee Road from C1 Office District to PLI Public Lands and Institutions District for the School District of Beloit. The Plan Commission recommended approval 5-0.
All right, opening the public hearing on item 4B. All persons wishing to come forward and speak on item 4B, please approach the podium and state your name and address. Second call for persons to come forward and speak on item 4B. Third and final call for persons to come forward and speak on item 4B. Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing on item 4B. And do we have a motion to suspend the rules?
Motion to suspend the rules.
Second.
Moved by Levy, second by Spreitzer. Any questions or comments on suspending the rules? Hearing none, I'll call the matter. All in favor of suspending the rules, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We've suspended the rules by a vote of 7-0 on a motion on the underlying matter.
Move approval.
Moved by Spreitzer,
Second.
second by Levy. Do you have any questions or comments on the underlying matter? Hearing none, I'll call the matter. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We've passed 4B by a vote of 7-0. Item 4C.
A resolution authorizing a conditional use permit to allow office and health club uses in an M2 general manufacturing district for the properties located at 601, 605, 645, 655, and 701 3rd Street. The Plan Commission recommended approval 5-0.
Mrs. Christensen.
Hendricks Commercial Properties LLC has proposed the addition of a health club at the properties listed, as well as the addition of office uses. Both of those uses require a conditional use permit. The proposed new health club and offices are part of the new Ironworks South development. This project involves the renovation of the southern half of the Ironworks facility, including partial demolition and the creation of a new west-east driveway leading from 3rd Street to a cul-de-sac near the river. This will separate the buildings into a north and south development. The project did receive a floodplain variance from the Board of Appeals in August. This allowed the first floor of the development to be elevated to the base flood elevation instead of the flood protection elevation. This also required other flood-proofing measures to be taken in lieu of elevating the ground floor to the protection level. We're currently reviewing the site plans at this time. At the Plan Commission meeting, the issue was raised of whether that driveway, private driveway, would meet the standards of the fire department, and the fire department has requested measurements and turning radius information as part of the site plan review for that private driveway, and will ensure that fire trucks can get back there. Fire department has been pleased with this opening up of this so that they actually have better access than they've ever had to this building. Plan Commission did review this item on December 18th and unanimously recommended approval, subject to the conditions which are listed in the resolution, which is that this conditional use permit authorizes up to 66,000 square feet of office space and 85,000 square feet of health club space in the existing Ironworks building, and the applicant shall provide additional parking stalls if deemed necessary during the site plan review.
Thank you. I'll open the public hearing on item 4C. Anyone wishing to come forward and speak on item 4C, please approach to the podium and state your name and address.
My name's Mark Membrino, Hendricks Commercial Properties, 655 3rd Street, and I'm here to answer any questions you may have about the development or the conditional use permit, and I want to thank you for taking this matter under consideration.
Thank you. If we during our discussions we have that, we'll call you back.
Okay, thank you.
Any other persons wishing to come forward and speak on item 4C? Second call for persons to come forward and speak on item 4C. Third and final call for persons to come forward and speak on item 4C. Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing on item 4C. And do we have a motion for this?
Move approval of 4C, Mr. President.
Second.
Moved by Van der Bogart, second by Lupke. Counselor DeForest.
Thank you. I do have some questions. I wanted to check about variance, the floodplain variance that was given that allows this development to only use base flood elevation. So now that these will become offices and a health club instead of industrial, that does raise some concerns. Was the Board of Appeals aware that this was the intention of this space in the immediate future, that it would change its usage?
I believe that these plans were presented as part of the variance application.
Okay. And they didn't have any concerns with that? And then I also wanted to make sure I heard you, I was going to ask about the fire department's concerns about the turning radius. So when you receive the site plan review, if the measurements aren't, if the chief doesn't feel that they satisfy his concerns, will you have the authority to say that they have to in order to proceed? Okay, just wanted to make sure.
That's typical during site plan review, that kind of information is required by the fire department, and they're just required to meet that as part of the development.
Okay, great. Thank you. Those are my only two questions.
Okay. Do we have any other questions or comments from counselors? Hearing none, I'll call the matter. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item passes 7-0. Moving on to item 5, which is citizens' participation. We've reached the point on the agenda for citizens to speak to the council about issues that are coming before us or may come before us in the future. Council members may not act on any request at this meeting, but may refer to the speaker to staff for assistance. We ask that you hold your comments to 3 minutes or less and refrain from public personal attacks of any kind. Anyone wishing to come forward and speak under item 5, please approach the podium and state your name and address. Second call for persons to come forward and speak under citizens' participation. Third and final call for persons to come forward and speak under citizens' participation. Hearing none, I'll close item 5, citizens' participation, and we'll move on to the consent agenda, item 6. All items listed in the consent agenda are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered at this point on the agenda. Do we have anyone wishing to remove anything from the consent agenda? Hearing none, the consent agenda consists of items 6A through 6H. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve. Second.
Moved by Lupke, second by Levy. All in favor of approval of the consent agenda, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item passes 7-0. Move on to item 7A.
A proposed ordinance to amend Part J of Section 3 of the Index of Special Locations, Section 13.02 of the Code of General Ordinances of the City of Beloit, relating to parking of vehicles on the near side of highways adjacent to schoolhouses.
Mr. Boyson.
Yes, thank you. This is an item that we discussed in our previous meeting. We have additional clarifications that have been incorporated into the staff report. So we do apologize for not having these in the previous presentation, but of course the ordinance as written by the Attorney's Office is accurate and correct, and it makes a revision through some modifications that will change the parking in the school district, expanding the Gaston School site pursuant to statute 34652, which restricts parking during the hours of 7:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. on the near side of through highways adjacent to school sites. In this case, the state statute requires that, and this ordinance would conform to the state statute for through highways. And as we've done in the past, and has been very workable and worked well in all the communities, we'll also provide that same school day only restricted time period parking prohibition on the other city local streets adjacent to the school site. And of course, this is what is at all our other school sites, and I think was the question and concern of the councilors at our last meeting. So we apologize for not having that as clearly as it should have been, and we request your approval of the parking modification as presented.
Thank you. Do we have a motion for approval?
Second.
Moved by Kincaid, second by DeForest. Do we have any councilor questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll call the matter. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item passes 7-0. All right, item 8, there are no appointments. items. Item 9 is councilor activities and upcoming events. Councilor DeForest, will you please lead us off?
Certainly. Nice to see all the students in the room. Thank you for braving the cold to be out here to make sure you meet your assignment obligations. I appreciate that. And hopefully you'll be motivated and encouraged to get involved in local government. We do have some positions for youth on our city committees, so I hope you will consider checking that out. We'd love to have you involved. I did want to say that I personally am glad that as a city we have decided to reinstate the in memory of number 23 sticker on our squad cars. I personally am grateful that we will continue that memoriam for Officer Larson. That's all I have for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Van den Bogart.
I'd like to apologize, Mr. President. I missed the memo on dress below 40 degrees below zero wind chill. I didn't wear the sport coat. Sorry. That's all.
Councilor Kincaid.
Nothing this evening.
Lupke.
I did wear the sport coat and the sweater, so that's all I have.
Thank you. Councilor Spreitzer.
I have nothing this evening.
Councilor Levy.
Usually I have nothing, but I'm going to say something this time. First of all, Happy New Year to everybody. And then I want to ask a question of the city manager. Basically, over the last few meetings, we've had several students here participating or listening to see what's going on. And I would think it would be nice if we could do something to recognize the teacher that has him coming out here, because even though it's part of the curriculum, I think they see the importance when they come out, and I appreciate a teacher who's taking that much interest in what we do to send them out here to make sure that they attend one of these meetings, because at some point they're going to have to replace us. So
There are several teachers.
there's several teachers. But we just need, I think if we do something for them to just show our appreciation for the students
Okay.
to come out and do
Sure.
that.
Beth, you got a note, we'll follow up on that.
Thank you.
See what we can do. I'm not sure who's the
Yeah, I mean,
responsible party.
I'm sure it's nothing, it has to be nothing big, and yeah. And I'm sure the teacher doesn't even want anything, but I just think anytime you put that kind of assignment on our youth to come out and see what goes on in local government, and this is what we've been saying, we want more youth involved, that they've been here just about every meeting.
And it is a great program, and you're right, in past years, we haven't had this kind of
Right.
interest in local government on the part of our students, so it is great to see the
Yeah.
kids here.
Yeah.
And we'll follow up on that.
Okay, thanks.
The only thing I'd like to add is I'd like to thank everybody for being here. It's nice and nippy, and I'm glad that our city workers braved the cold today, that everyone put in a full day. We all did our duty. We came here tonight. Some people where it was actually quite a bit warmer, chickened out today. So, especially like back where I grew up. So, thank you very much, and I think that will conclude our councilor comments. And we'll move on to item 10, which is city manager's presentation. There is not one, so the next one is mine, 11A.
A resolution approving the compensation adjustments for the city manager for the calendar year 2014.
Yes, before the last meeting, we did do the city manager's review, and found him, as many people would not be shocked to find, that he exceeds our expectations or is exceptional in all our categories. Any other employee that received such a rating would be entitled to a fairly reasonable increase of 4%. Because the city manager is who he is, he did not request that, although we did sort of force on him a modest increase that we have entailed here today. Normally, an employee of his longevity and ability would be accorded up to a 4% increase. We have agreed to give him a 3% increase. I believe that that's more than justified, and I would hope that my fellow councilors would be in agreement. Do we have a motion to approve this resolution?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Moved by Lubke, second by Kincaid. Do we have any questions or comments?
I'd like to make a comment.
Counselor Levy.
Being one of the counselors that got started about the same time that Larry did, I say this quite often at his evaluation piece, that I find it very intriguing and fascinating that you can talk to this person anytime, anywhere, and he knows exactly what's going on in the city, from the construction sites, where they are, how far along they are, if they're behind schedule. And it takes a lot. I mean, that lets you know that he is out there seeing what's going on a day-to-day basis. And then when he got here, building the relationships again with the business community, that was huge. And to see how far Beloit has come and hear all the compliments that we have, you look to the leader and also the staff that helps carry it out. But I just wanted to say that I appreciate the job that he's done since he's been here, and I'm looking for continued great things from him and the staff. And I just want to just give my little appreciation for what he's done so far.
Counselor Van de Bogart.
I would echo Counselor Levy's comments.
Counselor Lubke.
I too would echo that without much more dialogue, but I think one of the reasons Beloit has grown so much and gained so much esteem throughout the state the last decade is because of our city manager and his leadership. And as Kevin said, he's on top of every issue, and I've been very impressed with his knowledge and ability in every situation. That's all I have.
Counselor Spreitzer.
And I just wanted to mention, I know we mentioned it at the time, but it's in the resolution for those who don't have it in front of you, that last June was when the city manager completed 10 years of service, which is why part of why the amount of the increase, because it's a longevity milestone. And I think that having someone who's served this community for that long and plans to continue doing so and to stay living in this community is definitely a testament to how the city manager values Beloit, and it's great to have that here.
To expound on that, I think Janesville's gone through 3 city managers, maybe even 4 in the time period that Larry's tenure. 3. They punched their ticket and moved on, and Larry's shown his commitment. All right, Councilor Kincaid.
I'd like to add that I've lived in Beloit now for 7 years, and when I first met Larry, I didn't realize he was a newcomer because he was, as you say, as we've heard tonight, he seemed to know where everything is and that it's in the proper place, and we really appreciate that.
Okay. All right. Well, hearing no other questions or comments, I'll call the matter. All in favor of approving the resolution, state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. All right, it passes by a vote of 6-1. And then move on to 11B.
A resolution authorizing changes to the 2014 schedule of Beloit-Janesville Express transit fares for the city of Beloit, Wisconsin.
Mrs. Gavin.
All right, you have in front of you a resolution that's been proposed to increase the bus fares only for that portion of the service that's known as the Beloit-Janesville Express. Simply, the City Council in Janesville already authorized as part of their budget a fare increase. Their budget process, as you may be aware, is considerably behind our budget process, which is why we didn't have this prepared in time for our budget process. But we really must keep the fares going northbound as the same as southbound for operational reasons. We have to program the fare boxes. The passes, of course, are printed with a set amount on them. So the resolution would go into effect immediately, and the fare increase would be effective immediate. For, again, that's just the portion of the service that goes between Beloit and Janesville.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by DeForest.
Second.
Second by Levy. Councilor DeForest.
I have some questions. I was a little upset to see this fare increase. I know it's not our fault. We certainly have to follow suit since we are part of the line, and we can't have one fare charged in Janesville and one fare charged in Beloit. Michelle, have you been able to have any discussion with our transit director about the rationale for this increase? Because from my understanding, this really doesn't generate revenue for their operating expenses. Have you received any feedback from them about why they've made this increase?
Part of the sensitivity is the consortium, those agencies that pay for the local share of this service, which includes a lot of public sector entities, are under similar circumstances to the cities of Beloit and Janesville as far as finances go. So unfortunately, it's just it's a hard reality that the end users are going to have to pay an increase for the service because, you know, the cost of the service has gone up, and the ability for those local entities to bear the added burden of cost is just not going to be able to happen. So it really comes down to pure economics. It isn't merely the city of Janesville that's driving this, it's the consortium members themselves too, the ones that are paying for the service.
Okay, thank you, and I want to express my support for your commitment to hold affairs that we have control over locally, so thank you for that. I think the Beloit residents appreciate that greatly.
Thank you.
All right, any other councilor questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll call the matter. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item passes by a vote of 7-0. Now the item 12.
Second.
Moved by DeForest, second by Spitzer. All in favor of adjournment, say aye. Aye. We are adjourned.